Well, I know that this is a different type of a video for this channel, but I've got to make sure that all systems basically check out on the sawmill before we put it in operation. So there's still a few parts that I need to put on. So I'm going to do that with you guys. Well, so this is what it looks like sitting on the track. It is massive. I tell you what, folks, this whole thing, not only is this heavy duty, but also the track is heavy duty. Wood-Mizer makes some good stuff. Anyway, we didn't not want to get it because when we found out that we were making a deal with them that, you know, I could have went with a smaller sawmill, but I came down here and I measured and I said, it'll just fit. So yeah, this is what it looks like set up. Now, building the foundation the way that I did raised this whole machine up about 8 inches. You can see, slide it out a little bit, how the operator's station is. Now, this is right out from me. Normally it would probably be down around my waist right here, but it is up. I'll open it up here. We'll take a different angle and look at it. So normally this would set probably right in here, but since I added the 6x6s down there and raised the concrete up about 3 inches out of the ground, that lifted this whole head up, and there's really no adjustment. Now, I could build a small walkway out here, but I don't think I'm going to right off because I think I'm going to try to learn how to operate it right here because it's actually not that high. Anyway, the reason I haven't taken the cover off completely is it took 2 of us to put it on there. So I've got to kind of figure out how I'm going to get this on there by myself. But anyway, we do have it covered and we have it protected. So I put this part on earlier. There's 1 that goes on this side and 2 that go on the other side. So I thought I would put that together with you all. Then we've got some wires down here on the motor that drives the head back and forth. We've got to attach those. Now, the battery is already connected. They did that in case you needed to raise the head to get the boxes out. So I do have lights when I turn the key on. So this is connected already. We're going to have to mix up some spindle fluid and put that in here. It's a cottonseed spindle lubricant, I guess you would say, and detergent. So we're going to put that in here. We've got to put the blade on. I've got to check everything and make sure that it's all oiled up, like the chain right here that drives the head up and down, and make sure that there's no bolts loose that came loose in shipping. So basically, I guess that this is going to turn into a setup video for the sawmill. You know, if it doesn't take that long, we'll put a log on here and we'll see what it'll do. But I do have to get this up and running because we're going to be cutting material to put our solar in. So this is really important. So let's get busy. Let's start putting these supports on to keep the head from falling off. Okay, so one of these goes on the front like this, and then the other one will go back here. So that's a total of 3. That's 2 on this side and 1 on the other. They're pretty serious about this head falling off. I'll tell you, these are large. Of course, the head weighs a lot too, so. There we go. Alright, I'm hooking up this drive motor over here, and I couldn't find it anywhere in the book, but I assume that green is ground. So what's going to happen is, if I got it backwards, it'd probably drive backwards. Okay, we got both of those on there and hooked up. Found a couple of grease zerks up here. Right here's one. Make sure that it's got some grease in it. There we go. Put our little cap on it. we'll get this one too. There we go. And we'll put that cap on. Hey, what are we doing?
Oh, I'm just filing my new set of stairs. You like them?
Folks, this is actually, I'm going to call it a shoe. I don't know for sure what they call it because I haven't really seen them that much. But what you do is once you get your log leveled wherever you want it, this thing will actually slide on the bunk and you slide it over and then it holds the log up in place. Pretty cool.
Yeah, from rolling.
Well, good morning. It's the next day. What I'm getting ready to do is we're going to go down and put a blade on the sawmill, and then we're going to take the blade adjustment tool and we're going to make sure that the blade is going to be running exactly parallel with the bunks. So I'll meet you down there. Well, friends, you know this is going to make a big difference because on the Norwood I had to grease them right here. But these are sealed bearings, so that's going to be a big change. All right. The debarker has a pin right here that goes in another hole. You can hook it up for transport, stationary mill, and this is where you put it when you're not transporting. And like I said, since it's stationary, that's where it'll probably stay. Well, I know that you all can see the distance between the back of the head right here, not the railing, but the back of this head, where the rollers are, to my bumpers. And the reason that I can't go back any farther is because the back of this frame, the way that they've got it built, is coming really close to the wall. So I'm going to try to keep it at about 2 inches. Then what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to cut, I've got some 2x6s left. I'm going to hollow out a channel on each side. I'm going to set one up here. It'll go all the way across, and then I'll still have a little bit of space. I may add a 2x4 onto the front, down on the bottom, and screw that in. That way these can come back and hit that, and it will be resting on here and it won't fall off. So that's what I think I'm going to do to the bumper. That will still give me a little bit of padding right there. This is actually metal on the front. Comes up and hits the screw right here. So I think that's what we're going to do. That way we're going to protect it from not coming back and hitting the building. I mean, I can, you know, I've got some control when I'm coming backwards, but you know, I want to be on the safe side. That doesn't affect me being able to still cut 16 feet because it would cut like 17 feet and 6 inches, I think, all the way to the end. So I've still got room to play right there. So by putting that there, that's not going to affect anything because the track, like I said, is extra long. But I'm waiting on Jennifer to get here. What they sent me I don't quite like as far as tensioning the rope, the drive rope that runs this back and forward. So she's going to bring me some eye bolts that I'm purchased for both ends. That way I'll be able to use the eye bolt. It's going to be a little bit longer to use it to tension the string up. But we got the blade on. I'm not going to put any tension on it because, you know, on a sawmill you need to release the tension on the blade after you use it so that you don't have the constant tension on the bearings. So I'm leaving it on there loose, and when she gets here we'll hook that drive rope up so that we can try it out and run it back and forth. Well, I tell you what, I really wanted to try to get this drive rope on here today, but it started raining, and it rained and rained and rained. I guess you can tell, and it just didn't stop, and it's actually starting to get dark, but we're going to go ahead and see if we can't get this thing installed on here. I know this might be a little bit difficult to see, but we gotta pull this slack out. We're over the top, and we're gonna come down. I think what I'm going to do is cut that right about somewhere right here. Let that cool a minute. Then this is what I had Jennifer pick up right here, because this gave me more adjustment. The one they gave me was really short. I've got one on each end. Alright, now I can get a wrench and crank these up a little bit. Well, I'm tightening the inner portion. I think I kind of got them set where they need to go. So we'll make sure this doesn't move on us. I double nutted the back. Now I'm going to do the same thing down on this end. Let's see. That's going to go that way. Sure that we're going to get it back here as well. Now, well, friends, I think that it quit raining. You know, it's kind of funny because when I was down there digging holes for that foundation on the sawmill and pouring concrete, we didn't have any rain for a month, and now it wants to rain every day, and we're expecting rain for the next 7 days. So When that happens, I have been just covering everything up and coming up here and hanging out, and hopefully it'll quit raining. We'll wait for a little bit and go back down there and try it again. Yeah, I got to thinking if I broke the glass, that would not be a good day. So I decided to go ahead and fix that. What I'm doing now is I'm making that little short piece. I'm going to cut it out so that it can slide over the rail. Well, we almost got this done. It'll just sit on there so I can pop it back off and put some oil on it. But I did not want to break my glass. Let's see if it's going to work now. Yeah, can't go anywhere, right? Let's back this thing up. I'm just hand pushing this because we're testing it, right? Well, it's not orange and it's not very pretty, but it's functional and it works. That's going to keep me from hitting the wall, and I've still got the padding because I've got them on the front side of the bumpers right there, and so I've still got that little bit of give. It's not just something solid. But I will probably at some point, like I said, take that off and put oil on it, but for right now, testing this thing out, I didn't want to back it up and run it into the window or into the wall and hurt anything. So yeah, there we go. That's just some scrap that I had left over and put it to good use. You see what happens when you forget to charge your battery overnight? You end up having to use one of your corded tools. No, I'm just teasing. I have other batteries, but what I wanted to show you was, you know, when you live off grid like I do, And if you did forget to charge your batteries overnight, and you do have corded tools, which I have a complete set of both, and you have something like the BLUETTI right here, the AC180, you can continue to work on your projects even though you may have forgotten, like I said, to charge your batteries. So for folks living in town, this might not be too interesting or too important, but I'll tell you what, when you live off grid like I do, something like this comes in very handy because there's 1,001 uses for it. You've seen the dogs laying underneath or beside the fans running in there. I can run them all night long. If I'm tired, I'll go in, settle down for the evening. I can plug in a DVD and watch the big screen. I use it to edit videos, power my computer, charge these batteries right here, charge, like I said, my cameras, and there's 1,000, and hey, corded tools, there's 1,001 uses, like I said, for these. Right here you've got 4 AC outputs. Over here you've got a DC output, and if you have this type of system, you can actually plug in there and then plug and play. Or the same thing, the input right here, you can plug it into the car and recharge it here, or you can recharge it by solar by plugging that in. And then over here you've got your AC input, where I keep mine just tied up here all the time because a lot of times I'll charge these up with my generator. And another cool feature is the turbo mode that increases your output, and it will also charge from 0 to 100% in right about 45 minutes to an hour. So friends, if you're interested in having 1,800 watts at your disposal anytime, anywhere, why don't you try the BLUETTI AC180? I think that you'll like it. Another cool thing is you can actually download an app that goes on your telephone where you can monitor everything that's going on in there and have it right at your fingertips. So friends, we'll leave a link down in the description section below of how you can pick up your own. So we got the blade lube ready. I have filled up the fuel tank about halfway with regular gas with no additives, you know, the premium kind, the kind that's so expensive, right? I've checked the oil, it's where it's supposed to be, so we're getting close. Still got to do our blade alignment and all that, but we're getting really close. Thing runs good. It raises up and down really nice, goes forward and backwards, so we're just about ready. We've still got to tension the blade, but we're about ready to throw a log on there and see how it's going to cut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the blade adjustment tool. We're going to back this thing up over a bunk, and we're going to work on the blade to make sure it's completely horizontal. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and tension this blade up so that we can measure it. And watch this little gauge over here, and it should go up. Well, according to the book, after you tension the band, you turn it on, you let it rotate a little bit, but it doesn't appear like it's tracking right. So there's some adjustments on the back side for the idler wheel. So we're going to go back there, I'm going to read the manual, and we'll see if we can adjust those. Well, I did get it to track properly. These are the screws actually, but this is the main one that will turn the wheel kind of like this to get it to track properly. So I adjusted that and I've got it tracking true now. Alright, so the book says that what we need to do is back this up over the first bunk. We need to see whether the head is running parallel with the bunk. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is measure each side and see if we come up with the same measurement. On this side we have exactly 6.5 to the bunk. Then on this side we have exactly 6 and almost a half. So it's not correct. We're going to have to raise this up. Looks like a 1/16 of an inch. Alright, what I did was, the book says to loosen these two and then adjust this. So what I'm going to do is back this off just a little bit. Now let's remeasure. Alright, I finally got that thing dialed in there, so we're going to tighten this back up. We are right on the money now. But it said these procedures had to be done in the correct order, so that's what we're going to do. Okay guys, the next thing that was on the list was this blade guide right here. And what we want to do is we want to make sure that it is running parallel to the bunks, right? So I started with it all the way over here like it said, and I took this ruler, stood it up there, made myself a mark, right? Came all the way across, extended it all the way as far as it would go, and I am on the same mark over on this side. So that is good to know. This is the tool that I'm going to use to tension it up. It looks like this, and what you do is you just slide this right up on the blade, and then what we'll do is we'll measure the height on each side of the bunk from the front and the back to make sure that it measures the same. Okay friends, I know this might seem a little bit weird, but I've got the blade guide alignment tool on the blade. Now what they want us to do, let me back this up a little bit, is measure the distance on the front side. I'm going to make myself a little bit of a mark because it's kind of hard to see here. Right about there. Okay. Then we push it forward. We measure the back side, and that will tell us whether our blade is level. Let me pull it back forward just to make sure. Well, actually that front needs to go down just a hair. So what they suggest is we loosen the jam nut on the side. So we'll loosen that. Then we'll loosen the top and the bottom. Right there. And right here. It doesn't need to go much, like a 1/16 of an inch. They want this within a 32nd. Okay, that tilted that one down just a hair. Push it back forward again. Right at the top of our black line. And right at the top of our black line, folks. Okay, now what we're going to do is make sure these are tight. 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 I don't think I changed this one, but that one's tight. Now we're going to tighten these back down, and we'll go check the other side. Now we'll move our tool over to this side, and we will check it over here. And we'll make us a new mark where this is at, right there. And we'll push the carriage forward again. I'm going to check it on this back. Oh baby, look at that. That's on it. Move back to the front just to check it. And that's on it. Alright folks, this was the only one that was out. I think we've only got one more step before we're ready to mill. So, let me crawl out from under here and we'll figure out what that is. I did notice a little spring up here that was broken when you engage the clutch. It pulls the throttle back on the engine, but it doesn't seem to affect anything. But I will call Wood-Mizer tomorrow and have them send me a new one. What I have to do is reach around through here and turn it on, or I have to try to reach through here and turn it on, which is just quite inconvenient. So I think I'm going to take this panel off right here. There's a bolt pattern over on this other side I'll show you. It's kind of like this, so we might be able to move these over here. There's a couple over here, but I think like I said, if we take this off and I can get to those, I might be able to move that where it'll be right there at the operator station. I ended up having to take this handle off as well, so we'll pull that off where I can get to these. We'll get these off because these are just carriage bolts. Now we'll get one side put on there. Tighten that back up. Alright, there's one. Now, get this one undone. Okay, I have fed this tube into there. This is some that I purchased. And we're going to slide those together in there. This is 3/8 tubing, by the way. Okay, that'll stay there. Then we're going to put, actually, I'll pop that off. Go ahead and feed it through there first. Now that makes it a little bit easier to get on there. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and put this back on. One nut down here. I mean nut and bolt. Okay, we got that one there. This one here. If I'd have known those were carriage bolts, I wouldn't have had to take this off. But we'll get it put back together here. I know this might be a little bit difficult to see because of the lighting, but this is about all I need right here to go back and forth. So what I'm going to do is give myself enough slack where I can come around and accomplish the same thing. This tube would come right around. That length right there is what I need. Let's pull this out. Go from here. Now I'll get this fed back around through there where they had it. And we'll slide this back over the top of that, like so. I'm tying it up right now, and what I'm going to do is show you a hack. When you're using a cable tie, go around it twice if you've got enough, and then pull this up on there, and it makes for a much stronger tie. Well, I left myself plenty of slack in here so that it can travel with everything that they've got going on in here. And since this rides up and down with the head, it will always be higher than this little valve right there. But yeah, I think that's pretty cool, and that's going to be so nice just to be able to stand right here at the operator station and turn this on and turn it off. I might suggest that to them. That's kind of hillbilly engineering, but you know what, folks? That's a whole lot better, don't you think, than where it was mounted. Well, we have been through all of the systems checks, and I think that we're ready to go with one exception. I can't engage the clutch. I did call Wood-Mizer, and they said that it was probably adjusted too tight. They showed me on the back where to do that, but guess what? I'm out of time for today because I've got to go pick up my son at the airport. He's coming in for a week to help me, so hopefully the next video we're going to have this thing up, running, and milling some timber. Friends, thanks so much for stopping by. We certainly do appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you back up here at the cabin again next time.